And with this we can conclude, no, that sounds bad. Delete. Given this information, it can be shown that, no, too wordy. I'll never finish this paper in time. What's gonna happen if I don't ace this? There goes my future. That's an exaggeration. That's not an exaggeration. I'll never be able to finish this.
I'm in debt. What's my plan for the future?
It feels as if you're underwater, drowning, watching everyone else breathe. Wrapped deep by stress and anxiety, my family suggests working out or investing in a new hobby.
Just reach out for help.
If only it were that easy. Everyone seems to be talking about it, but does anyone else really understand?
There's some days where I'll get here at first thing in the morning, and I won't be done until 2 a.m.
Well, it's the same story for many Canadian post-secondary students. Crammed schedules, sleepless nights, plenty of stress. Between work and school and the pressure to succeed, many students are struggling.
It's a chronic illness, is it not, right across the continent?
It is probably North America's #1 silent killer.
Rates of anxiety and depression among college students in the U.S. have soared.
17% of college students were diagnosed or treated for anxiety problems.
A dramatic increase.
Stressed out students.
Anxiety is the #1 thing that students come into the counseling center with.
Increase in stress.
Anxiety and depression.
Fight or flight.
80% of college students felt overwhelmed.
It's wonderful to see such a full auditorium. I think that indicates that maybe people at NIH are interested in stress. I'm sure I don't know why.
The most comprehensive study on stress to date is the National College Health Assessment. According to the results of the survey, stress is the most commonly reported impediment to academic success. Specifically, 56% of students reported more than average stress. In the last decade, reports of mental disability have increased by a shocking 433%. It cannot be assessed whether this is due to increased awareness or prevalence.
My name is Madison Burgess, and I'm currently a PhD student at McMaster University in the Department of Health, Aging, and Society.
She earned her master's degree at McMaster University while working with Dr. James Collette and Dr. Laurie Campbell.
Particularly on the university campus, it seemed at the time like there was a lot of attention around mental health, and they were really interested in figuring out ways to just provide more support to students, figure out new and inventive ways to do that. So a lot of the work that I did involved with that was actually part of an environmental scan, calling all the universities across Canada and asking them about their therapy dog programs. And it was really interesting to see that almost across the board, so many schools were engaging in this work, were interested in it, trying out either a therapy dog program or something else, to chipping away at how can we make the university more supportive and mental health focused.
To understand the human-dog connection, we first have to understand where it all began. This is Canis lupus, otherwise known as a wolf. Your pet dog is a descendant of this apex predator. But how did this turn into this? Dogs were domesticated between 20 and 40,000 years ago. Since then, humans have shaped the evolutionary path of dogs closely. We selected dogs for certain desirable traits, and in the process created hundreds of dog breeds. As early roaming hunter-gatherers were replaced by farmers, the dangers that humans faced changed, and our relationship with dogs changed with it. Once upon a time, dogs provided a keen nose for hunting, warmth, and protection. Today, dogs are largely providing companionship and unconditional love. No longer do we have to worry about being attacked by a predator, but the ancient alert systems that kept us alive remain active. These systems, inducing stress, are hijacked by today's stressful situations. A presentation, a deadline, or a novel social situation can all elicit the same response as a dangerous animal. This is especially true for undergraduate students, who are leaving their support systems, including their parents and pets. Dr. James Collette and his colleagues looked at the effects of dog therapy on undergraduate university students at McMaster University and the universities of Saskatchewan and Regina. The researchers collected surveys from 400 undergraduates before and after therapy sessions, and evaluated how students' self-ratings of happiness and stress changed. They found that students felt happier and less stressed after dog therapy sessions. Interestingly, this study included the effects of the dog handler on the students as well. They found that students benefited from social interactions with both dogs and their handlers, supporting the idea that dog therapy provides much-needed social interaction. When asked if students would participate again or recommend a friend to participate, the response was overwhelmingly positive.
So this study was inspired by a bulldog named Annabelle, who is a therapy dog at the University of Saskatchewan. And she came to visit with her handler and owner and partner, Colleen Dell, who is a sociologist at the University of Saskatchewan. And Annabelle had an interest in meeting some of the students at McMaster. And so we ran an event where students could come out and hang out with Annabelle and some therapy dogs. And that sparked a program here at McMaster called Dogs at Mac. And we analyze and explore and examine how the contributions that the animal and staff or faculty team make to the academic environment on campus to help facilitate student success.
What does the average dog therapy session look like?
The sessions usually last about an hour or an hour and a half, and so you might have like 2 or 3 groups of students that come through for 20 minutes or so. Sometimes people stay longer, they just stay the whole time. Other people come in and don't even get near the dogs. Like we get sometimes a number of students who are quite afraid of dogs, and they come simply because they know it's a safe place to explore those fears. And so in some ways that's kind of what university is about in a way, where you have these sort of uncertainties about your capabilities, and so you have this safe space in which to kind of challenge it. And so you'll have someone who will come in and they'll be quite far away, and they'll slowly get closer and closer and closer, and then at the end of the hour they're like, tussling around with the dog, or they feel quite comfortable. So that's always really cool when that happens.
Why do dogs make humans feel better? Serotonin and dopamine, the happy molecules. These molecules that help bond parents with their children are both released when we pet dogs. This has a systemic effect on the entire body, and not only does this lower stress, but it also leads to the feeling of happiness. How can undergraduate students benefit from interacting with dogs?
Having the dogs on campus, in the library and advising office, does help create a more supportive academic environment for students to thrive.
Right.
And I think the way it gets taken up, has helped students, around a kind of resiliency or an ability to kind of respond to some of the difficulty. Integrating that into kind of the rhythm or the rituals or the habits of their academic life, I think helps. And it helps in a cumulative kind of way, where over time you develop a relationship with that animal, and you start to kind of identify with it and think of that as sort of part of even a kind of group of friends that you'd have. So it'd be similar to, going out and meeting up with friends for a coffee or something. You sort of meet up with these kind of non-human friends, and they make you feel good.
Are there any moments you would like to highlight behind your research?
Let's say, Liam or Lily or one of the other dogs says that dog actually makes her feel better, and she meant it in the sense of not like that it made her feel better. The dog actually makes her feel better. That part of that interaction is an obligation among the human to feel better, because the dog expects you to feel better. And so when someone comes up to you and is really happy, it's really hard for you to not also be happy, because you feel this kind of expectation to kind of match their feelings. It's funny, I remember someone saying that it kind of takes a non-human for us to really get in touch with our humanity. That we don't really know the best parts of humanity until we encounter something that's not human, which then brings that out in us.
According to author Meg Olmert, many patients echo the claim that dogs are better than any drug they've ever taken. Now, we recognize that this is not the only solution, and it may not work for everyone, but it may be worthwhile to take a few steps back, because sometimes the simplest solution is the most powerful.
Work like this it's so important, again, because it's something that impacts everybody in some way, in one form or another. And it's a challenging thing to talk about. We've had decades and decades of stigma and discrimination and bad policies. So to move the needle on it, even if it's just a little bit, even if having a therapy dog, makes people put their guard down a little bit, to maybe get a bit of support or to come to an event they may not have in the past. That type of work is really important, and we need to do it and to publish it and get it out there.
I'll confiscate this animal.
We're doing a project on how dogs reduce stress.
Did you have a little accident, buddy? Okay. You know what? This is very